Here with Cyclist Blogs, and I'm here with
Nato Dickinson.
So Nato Dickinson, he's number 18, plays on the men's volleyball team. Has an impressive so far within his 4 years here at Cal State Long Beach, and we're going to go ahead and talk about his career here. When did you start your volleyball journey?
I started playing the summer before my 7th grade year of middle school. Really just got brought on to me by my family. My brother had already been playing in high school. He was 3 years older than me, so it just kind of seemed like the path to walk there.
Were there any challenges for you to overcome within your first years of playing volleyball?
In general or Long Beach?
Just in general.
One memory that really sticks out to me is one of my first ever camps, I guess you could call it. I was still in middle school, but I was going to high school camps with my brother just because my middle school and high school were combined. And I tried learning how to jump serve roughly within my first week or two of learning how to play volleyball, and being the young middle schooler there in front of all the high schoolers, it was just a really intimidating moment, and it just was a pretty uncomfortable moment for me, and I had to take a step back with the head coach at the high school at the time and just have a little one-on-one talk with him and just hey man, it's not that big of a deal, you're going to learn at your own pace and you'll get there when you need to get there.
You know, saying that you started within your 7th grade year and your middle school years, it is possible to have a competitive career and competitive college career even at any age. Can you tell me more about that, maybe for the viewers who want to start a volleyball career and who's a little bit scared and who's doubting themselves?
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a specific time you need to start. There's no right or wrong way to start the sport. It just how much dedication and drive you want to have for it and how much you're willing to put into it, because that's how much you're going to get out of it.
Let's take a look at your volleyball career here at Cal State Long Beach. Were there any challenges when first starting out? I know you grew up around Corona Del Mar and moving. It's not it's local here, but when you attended Cal State Long Beach, a D1 school, right? One that has a history within the volleyball sport as well. How did you feel? Were you were you a little bit of scared, intimidated by all the players? Or tell me more about that.
It was actually a very easy transition. My last 2 years of high school, I played for the club team up here, Pinnacle Athletic Club. And so I was already surrounded by a lot of the current players and coaching staff at the time. So when it came time for me to make a decision of where I wanted to go to college, this was a very easy option for me. It was very comfortable. It was also just far enough away from home where it felt like a new experience and something different, but also close enough where it was still well within my wheelhouse. Yeah, I mean, travel's always just kind of been a part of the sport, maybe more so on the women's side, but definitely still on the boys and men's side as well. I mean, I've kind of always just been a utility player, whether that would be in high school or in college now. I mean, I came in as a setter to the university, then very quickly got switched to a pin position, so either outside or opposite. And then I was bounced back and forth between the pin and the middle and just kind of trying to find the right spot for me and what would benefit the team the most. Seems like the end of the season I've kind of settled into the right side, but obviously I started out in the middle, so kind of just been doing whatever it takes to put the team in a better position.
And who inspires you within your volleyball career? Were there any coaches prior to your college career that stood out to you?
Initially in my volleyball career, my brother definitely inspired me. Like I mentioned, being older than me by 3 years, he kind of paved the way for me a little bit. I'd like to think I surpassed him a little bit now in technique and skill, now that he's graduated and is no longer pursuing the sport. But coaches-wise, he was never a personal coach for me, but he was a very big figurehead back in my high school. Steve Conti, he originally coached my brother, and he was the coach I had previously mentioned during my middle school experience. And he was just a really good leadership role for me, and as well as one of my best friends at the time's dad. And so he was a very connected guy in the volleyball world, but also someone I was very comfortable with when communicating my challenges.
And what would you like to tell other young athletes, specifically one that want to get into the volleyball career? I know you said that, it's definitely, takes a lot of dedication and whatnot, but what do people don't understand about the expectations versus the reality of getting to a D1, school, playing for a D1 college sport?
Yeah, I mean, the cutoff for especially men's volleyball is huge. I mean, you go from playing club volleyball where we have teams all around the nation, and then you essentially enter into the 1% when you want to go Division I. And so the cutoff is steep, but it is very obtainable. Like I said, it's just really how much you really want to get it. You're just going to have to put in the extra work. It's not just going to be club and high school practices where it's maybe 2-3 times a week for 2 hours. You're going to have to find court time on your own and really just excel you to that next level.
And I want to touch base on mental health. So mental health plays a big role within any athlete, and I've been asking this to all my interviewees, whether it's on the media aspect of sports, whether it's on the athletic side. And what is your personal outlook within your mental health, and what do you do to unwind from a long day?
So this was like honestly a pretty big personal struggle for me when I first came to this school. Everyone kind of faces some adversity when you come from being the guy, whether it's in club volleyball or high school volleyball, and then you get into a D1 program and you're kind of right back at the bottom of the food chain there. And so it's kind of a reality shift. You have to come in and you kind of get humbled your first year a little bit, but you kind of just get into the grind of it, and you kind of learn to love the grind. And so you kind of just have to have that screw it moment where you just kind of throw all your worries and concerns out the window, and you're just like, I'm just gonna put my head to the floor and start working, and whatever happens, happens.
And how do you unwind from a long day, whether it's, competition, matches, practices?
As I'm trying to pursue this as a career after college, my unwinding is going back and rewatching the game or practice, whatever it may be, back on film. And just kind of taking a second to break it down in a slower manner rather than trying to absorb all of it live time when, emotions are high and the whistle's blowing and whatnot. But then outside of volleyball, I love spending time at the beach and seeing my family and friends and just kind of just being in the spur of the moment and not necessarily having such a structured timeline, just because that's what my life is so surrounded by with volleyball. It's nice to have a little bit more free will.
Yeah. And I was watching your guys' matches, and it's intense, I wanted to ask you, as an athlete, do you feel the pressures on the court?
I think now that I've been getting the start for the last couple matches, I've kind of settled into the system and the team a little bit more, and so that kind of comes more with experience. But I definitely remember my first official start on the right side against San Diego away on their senior night this year. Definitely had those pregame butterflies, but I like to think that I can feed off of that. It's just a form of emotion and energy. I just have to learn how to channel it in the right way, which I think I was pretty successful at doing.
What does your routine be, before a match? Do you have any superstitions going into a match? I know some players, wear the same socks.
Not personally. I'm not one to necessarily believe in karma or superstitions for that instance. So I try not to put energy or thought into uncontrollable factors, and I just focus on what I'm gonna do during that game and stick to the game plan that the team's organized for us, and just really have faith in the guys I'm on the court with.
Yeah, and understanding your team, you have the captain, Skylar Varga, and then you also have the freshman sensation, Moni Nikolov. Can you tell me, what have you learned from playing with these decorated athletes?
Yeah, both are really great athletes, like you stated, but just getting to know them more on a personal connection definitely eases up a little bit of the nerves or tensions you may experience on the court. Skylar Varga has been a really close friend of mine the last couple of years he's been here, and then getting to know Moni more and more this year as the season's progressed. It's just been great. Obviously he's a younger player in the gym, but volleyball IQ-wise and experience-wise, he's got more than a lot of the guys do here. And so just trying to find ways to connect with him on a personal level, but also just take bits and pieces from what he's learned at an international level has been really beneficial for not only myself, but the team.
Can you tell me more about your experience, about what it takes to, you're also a high school student as well. So what do people don't understand about, the academics and balancing everything at a young age? Yeah,
honestly, I'd say it's probably a little bit more of a balance in high school than it is in college, because we have all these great resources here helping us, whether that be school or the mental side of things, but especially around athletics.
Yeah.
But once again, it just comes down to that determination of what you want to do with your future. And if you really want to pursue sports, you got to understand that when you say student athlete, student's the first word in that. And so you got to really focus on your academics, especially if you're trying to go to a very successful school.
Position. As I was looking at your guys' play and, doing some research, you are you came in as a setter, but, it takes you to learn about all the positions all at once. Can you tell me more about that experience and, the expectations of knowing how to read the play and knowing, how to trust your team members? Yeah,
I think coming in as a setter, that was really beneficial for me to transition to a pin position, just because I understand the necessity of ball placement and kind of the mindset you are as a setter when you're running the court. But also, like we said, it transitions quite well, not only to indoor, but to beach, where you kind of have to do it all anyways. So I just took every opportunity I could get on the court and kind of improve my game as a whole.
Amazing. And what is one career-defining moment for you where you're constantly thinking about it till this day?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's ever been a defining moment, just how there's never been one instance that I really hang on in a game. It's just kind of an evolving and flowing mentality that I have. I'm just always looking to improve, and it's not like this is my it moment. It's just kind of how can I use all these instances in time and in games to further improve personally, but also as a collective.
Amazing. And my favorite question I want to ask you is, how did you get your nickname Toe?
So my actual name is Nathaniel, and then at a very early age, I want to say probably second or third grade, I was dubbed Nato by my older brother. And apparently when I got to college, that was just too short, or not short enough. And so Aiden Knipe, this setter my first couple years here, he just randomly brought out toe one day and it just stuck along with the team.
Amazing. Yeah. And what is one fun fact about yourself that most people don't know about you?
It's not something I really like publicize all that much, but I played a lot of sports growing up, but the one I probably had the longest dedication to was martial arts, specifically Taekwondo. It's a Korean form of martial arts, and I ended up achieving a third-degree black belt in that.
Amazing. And, so going back to your, at a young age, you grew up around sports, like you said, you were a third-degree black belt, and you transitioned over to volleyball at, at 7th grade. Would you say, and my page is all about promoting sports and the importance of maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Would you say, growing up, were you always around sports?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't say we're one of those families growing up where, like, my family was never one to be like, okay, every basketball game, football game that's on is on the TV, we're watching that. But it was more so whatever you could find joy doing outside, because we weren't really, luckily, growing up in the screenager era. We were just encouraged, go play in the dirt and find something fun to do. And so my parents encouraged me to find a lot of different passions and hobbies and helped me go from sport to sport until I found one I really synergized with and loved. And so that just ended up being volleyball.
Amazing. Let's transition over to Long Beach even more. What made you commit to Long Beach as an athlete? I mean, like you said, you played for the club here, the Pinnacle Club. How did that tie over to Long Beach, and how did the Long Beach team stand out for you in terms of deciding to dedicate the next 4 years?
Well, not only being a super competitive athletic school, but just getting to know the coaching staff in those 2 years I was playing for their club team. When I sat down and talked to my family about it, it was just a really strong point for us was not only are they going to help me mature as a better volleyball player, but just as a better man overall. We really have trust in the coaching staff here, especially Alan Knipe. He's helped me through a lot of hardships and just has a big hand in curating who I am today.
Nice. And what have you learned the most, or got to learn the most, from being on the Long Beach team?
Definitely just, for lack of a better term, just kind of get to work and shut up about it. I mean, everyone's going through their hardships, everyone's going through their struggles. Just how much can you, not compartmentalize, but kind of pick aside the pieces you need to focus on. And just really do what's best for the whole.
Awesome. Is there anything you want to leave behind, here at Long Beach?
I mean, I'm sure every player that comes through here would like to have some sort of legacy or their name up on the wall somewhere. I mean, the obvious answer is also just really get that national championship this year. Would love to get one after 5 years of being here and being in the Final Four 4 of those years. But I mean, it's really whatever can make the team a better whole. I don't need the individual fame for it, just trying to put myself in the best position I can for the following years.
And like you said, you're going off into a career where you want to take volleyball into a more, professional level. What do you want to take from these 4 years to your career?
I think just the overall work ethic, and a term we like to use a lot is grit. And that can encompass a lot of things, not just volleyball. I mean, whether it's my work life, personal life, athletic life, whatever it may be, it applies. But also, I know there's not going to be as much structure as we have here. Our coaches are great with providing us with a lot of information on other teams as well as ourselves. It's kind of doing a deep dive each day in practice and really just learning more about the game and becoming more knowledgeable. So I'm probably going to want to extend that into my professional career. Whether that's not a team-wide aspect, I'd like to keep continuing that myself.
Amazing. And when I went to your matches, obviously, Long Beach is known for their immense amount of support from the crowd, whether it's students from here or the often kids from all range of ages, and even volleyball clubs here, who share the passion of playing for volleyball. Has there been a moment that stood out to you where you feel proud as a role model for these kids?
I mean, role model is an interesting one because I've never really saw myself as an outwardly role model. I mean, typically when you think of that, you're looking at Moni Nikolov, who has hundreds of these kids showing up to support him and get signatures and whatnot. But obviously, amongst a lot of the other guys on the team have their share of that as well. What really just makes me the proudest is when I would be coaching back at my old club, Pinnacle Athletic Club, and just getting to translate my knowledge into the next generation of kids. That brings me the most joy, honestly, just seeing the next generation come through, because with volleyball being such a tight-knit community and a relatively small community, everyone tends to know everyone at one point or another. And so just kind of sharing that knowledge and trying to bring up the whole sport as a whole has been probably my proudest moment with it.
All right, thank you, Nato. Thank you for this interview. Thank you for your time. Make sure to keep an eye out for Nato Dickinson as he heads on to the professional world of volleyball.
Thank you very much.